friends, Ginny D here, and zippers used to be the absolute bane of my existence. Every time I had to include one in a costume, I would put it off as long as possible. I would dread it, and no matter how many times I tried and how much I read online, they were always ugly. My invisible zippers were always visible. Sometimes my zippers were wavy, or the ends didn't match up. A bad zipper can totally sabotage the fit and look of a garment, so eventually I just caved, and I took a class at my local fabric store. I don't know what it was about that class that just made zippers click for me, but I am a changed woman now. That fabric store has since closed, which sucks, but I am going to pass on what I learned to you so that you too can stop fearing the zipper. Speaking of classes, this video is sponsored by Skillshare, an online learning community with thousands of classes for everyone from amateurs to masters on a ton of different topics. It's an amazing resource for learning new skills, and I think it's actually especially useful right now when you may not be able to do things like take a class at your local fabric store, for example. There are a bunch of classes that are perfect for cosplayers. There is an introduction to draping class, an introduction to garment construction class. There's even a class on wiring up LEDs and programming them. There's a class on leatherworking. There's a ton of stuff on photography. It's honestly a treasure trove for cosplayers. One of the first classes I watched was the Introduction to Garment Construction class with Joshua McKinley. Yes, from Project Runway. No, I wasn't fangirling, you were fangirling. I of course already know how to construct a garment, but I am largely self-taught, so I wanted to see if I was missing anything obvious that I would have learned if I had like real training. And I ended up learning 3 different kinds of seams in a 1-hour class, including both the flat felled seam and the French seam, both of which were way easier than I had been led to believe. Skillshare is always adding new classes. There are no ads, so you can focus on learning without interruptions, like this interruption that is currently happening. It's less than $10 a month for membership, and if you want to try it out and just see if you like it, the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 2-month free trial of premium membership. Check it out. Okay, zipper time. There are 3 main things that I learned that made zippers easier for me. I'm gonna walk you guys through one entire zipper installation, and I will point out each of these 3 things as I go so you can see them in action. We're gonna install an invisible zipper today because I find that in cosplay, this is the kind of zipper that I use the most, but these techniques should apply to any kind of zipper that you want to install. Let's start with materials. You will need a zipper, of course. It's better to get a zipper that is too long rather than too short because shortening a zipper is actually very easy. You'll also need whatever garment you are putting the zipper into. I am just going to use some fabric. Iron-on interfacing isn't strictly necessary, but it is especially helpful if you are working with a really fiddly fabric. You should also have a zipper foot, and if you are installing an invisible zipper like we are, you should specifically have an invisible zipper foot. Sewing machine feet are not generally very expensive, and they can make your life so much easier, so if you don't already have these, I would highly recommend investing in them. More on zipper feet in a minute. You should also have all the sewing basics, so thread, pins, scissors, iron, sewing machine, and a seam ripper. I know people blow off the iron part, but you really do need an iron. It makes such a huge difference with zippers. The first of my 3 big tips is use interfacing. You can do this with any zipper and it'll be helpful, but it's especially helpful when you're using stretch fabrics or really delicate fabrics. Cut 2 strips of iron-on interfacing at least a 1/2 inch wide, the same length as the zipper. Press these strips to the edges of the fabric where you're planning to install the zipper. This provides stability and keeps the fabric in place while you're sewing. For a delicate fabric, it can make the zipper much stronger, and for a stretchy fabric, it can prevent that annoying wavy zipper problem that can happen when the fabric is kind of stretched while you're sewing it. Next, pin together the seam where you want to install the zipper. Yes, the whole seam. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Now, mark where you want the bottom of the zipper. You can do this with chalk or a pencil, but I like to use 2 pins close together to mark a specific point. Now, lay your zipper on top or beside the seam to make sure that it's long enough. If it is too long, go ahead and mark where the zipper needs to be shortened, and then set your sewing machine to a zigzag stitch. Increase the width to maximum width and shorten the length to the minimum length, which could be 0 on your machine, and just sew a little bar of thread across the zipper teeth. Once that's done, you can trim the zipper about a 1/2 inch or an inch below where you sewed. You'll want to use some heavy-duty shears here so that you don't damage any scissors on the zipper teeth. Now it's time to sew. First, you will sew the part of the seam below the zipper. Just use whatever regular stitch you've been using on the rest of the garment, and don't forget to backstitch at the top right before the place where you're putting in the zipper. Just a note, if you want your zipper to separate like the zipper on the front of a jacket, you will need to buy a separating zipper. It is a certain kind of zipper. Other zippers will not do that. Time for my second big tip: baste the seam closed. I didn't know this was a thing, but it made a huge difference in my zippers. In case you don't know, a basting stitch is just a very long stitch that is easy to take out. It's just meant to be a temporary removable stitch. You can do this by setting your machine to a straight stitch and then increasing the length to maximum. Baste the entire length of the seam where you're going to place the zipper. Now use your iron to press this seam open. This will be easier with some fabrics than with others, but the more crisply you can press this seam open, the neater your zipper will be. Now place the zipper centered on top of the pressed seam. Pin it in place, or if you want to be extra precise, you can even hand baste the zipper in place so that it won't move during the next step. Once the zipper is thoroughly anchored, flip the fabric over and remove that basted stitch. At this point, it should be able to zip up and down, carefully, so you don't stab yourself with pins. And from the outside, it should look pretty much like what it'll look like when it's done. Unzip the zipper as far as it'll go, even below the edge of the seam if you can. And here's my third big tip: use the right foot. I knew about zipper feet, and I had a zipper foot, and I didn't understand why I still couldn't sew an invisible zipper that was actually invisible. Turns out, there is another kind of zipper foot that is specifically for invisible zippers. It has a little groove on the underside for the zipper teeth, which basically holds the zipper in place so that you can sew really close to the teeth. Now sew each side of the zipper as far down as you can before the zipper pull gets in the way. To be clear, you are sewing the zipper to the seam allowance, not all the way through 2 layers of fabric. From the outside of the garment, you should not be able to see this seam. Zip the zipper all the way closed and then finish any parts that you couldn't reach the first time. Depending on the garment, you may want to add a hook and eye at the top of the zipper. That is up to you, but you're basically done. I spent so many years being so afraid of installing zippers. I would try to put one in and then feel like I had completely ruined the garment, or I would install one and then take it out and then install it and then take it out, and I'd have to do that over and over before I could make it work. But now a zipper is just another thing that I can sew. Something that used to be so stressful for me is now totally fine, and that in a nutshell is why I try to always keep learning new skills when I can. I hope this helps ease some of your zipper related woes. Please let me know in the comments what kind of sewing tutorials you would like to see me make in the future, and don't forget to check the description to claim your 2 free months of premium Skillshare membership, and I will see you next Wednesday.